Hello, I'm Chris Williams from Read Comics They're Bad For You, the name of my YouTube channel, or if you're watching this on BitChute or Library, the name of my channels on those two websites is Comic Freak. We're going to be talking about an SJW writer who apparently keeps putting her foot in her mouth. So let's get right into this article. SJWs live in a deluded fantasy world of their own making. For instance, SJWs love to pretend that there have never been strong female characters before the year 2015. They're required to believe that if they're also going to pretend that they're making great civil rights strides today, but as normal people know full well, SJWs aren't blazing any trails but are on a decades-old, well-worn beaten path instead. Here's one such example from a run-of-the-mill drone. Now we're going to be looking at some tweets from this woman here, and wow, they're really out there, but she's going to be fun to roast, and I'm going to have a fun time doing it to her because she just keeps moving the goalposts around to win her arguments, and that'll just make it easier to roast her with. Here's her first tweet. Been there, most guys have no idea what it's like growing up and having to pretend you're the opposite sex when playing because those are the only heroes you connect with. Men have had so many lead characters in action movies to choose from. We barely had any, and I'm a 90s kid. You lying little witch. There have been plenty of good female heroes. Let me name one. Lady J from G.I.Joe. Scarlet as well. Jean Grey, and every other action female in a cartoon. Not to mention if we bring in comic books, then wow, it's a lot of characters. Her next tweet is, we don't have many choices. Back then, if I wanted to connect to the main heroes in action films, I had to connect with a man. I'm not saying there was anything wrong with relating to a male lead. I'm just saying I never got many options to do so with a woman. Today, it's different. No, it is not. There have always been female heroes. Continue onward. I'm not sure what I did to earn your ear. I'm just sharing my personal outlook. It's really hard for men to understand being a little girl who always pretended to be a leading man because there were no leading women she was related to. I have looked up to male heroes my whole life. Then the writer of this article, Ichibaka, said, it was then that I posted my long list of strong leading female characters going back to the 1960s. Yeah, show her the real facts. That she is just a liar and she probably knows what she was lying about because there is no way she's never heard of any of these strong female characters that have existed for decades. Now, Ichibaka's response is you can see the, fight between Deckard and one of the androids from Blade Runner. And you can see, what universe do you live in where there were no leading women to relate to? And yeah, there's one strong woman right there. So how did the SJW respond when given this information? Did she say, oh gee, I didn't know any of that, I'll have to check those out? No, instead she chose to turn off the source of reality altogether in order to maintain her self-induced delusions. Yes, she blocked him. She just blocked the guy and didn't respond at all because that's the kind of woman this SJW writer is. She won't listen to anyone. She'll just block you and not listen to you at all. Because that's what she will do. Now, SJWs will respond to this by pointing out at my pediatrical genitalia and muttering something unintelligible about sexism and or misogyny, but it should be noted that a woman also received the same treatment for delivering reality to the SJWs. Here is that tweet. I got blocked for sharing there were women protagonists in the 80s into the 90s to relate to. That gender should never be a factor, but the character themselves should be what you judge it by. But, getting back to the article, reality will simply not be tolerated by SJWs. This particular SJW was responding to Ray Carson, who recently expressed a similar delusion. For those who may not know, Ray Carson is the author of the Rise of Skywalker novelization. And, yeah, she basically said she always wanted to see a female Jedi, even though there have been tons of female Jedi. And when we're reading what she responds to that, we're going to be really looking at an insane person here. Here's a tweet from Ray Carson. I desperately wanted to see a girl Jedi on the big screen, so in The Force Awakens, when the lightsaber whips past Kylo's hand to land in Rey's instead, I still get weepy thinking about it. I waited 40 years for this moment. There have been plenty of female Jedis, and this woman will just not leave it alone because she's insane. When we give her actual facts, she just keeps moving the field goal posts back further and further because that's the kind of person she is. Namely, if you bring up Ahsoka Tano as one of the female Jedi, Here's a tweet basically saying it. You wish fulfilled in 2008 when the Clone Wars movie released in theaters. A prime example of a strong female character, but does she care? No. She just makes a bunch of excuses and basically just runs away from the actual real answers. As a result, many went to this Twitter thread and began showing Rey the female Jedis that she missed in her 40 years of being a super duper ultra uber fan. There are more in that thread for those who care to look. So how did Rey, as an SJW, deal with being confronted with a reality that discredited her proclamation? By complaining about it and then moving the goalposts. Jesus, all these dudes in my mentions pointing out the female Jedi in the prequel trilogy who have no real roles and die horribly, and you are a complete idiot. Most of the males who appear in the prequel trilogy also only had brief mentions and were killed off unceremoniously. You see, now it's not just about how she desperately wanted to see a girl Jedi on the big screen. After being confronted with reality, it then changes into a girl Jedi who has a real role, who doesn't die horribly, who doesn't have a quick cameo. I'm sure Rey will dream up several other qualifiers as well in order to maintain her delusion of attained social justice folk hero status. It never occurs to her that most of the Jedi in the prequels had quick cameos. Males, too, because the prequels were about the fall and slaughter of the Jedi, which is why many Jedi died horribly. The original trilogy didn't have many Jedi at all because most of them had all been killed. That was a major part of the plot of the franchise. Note, the word wars in the title of the franchise Star Wars. It wasn't about a cosplay fashion show where we get to see girls twirling around lightsabers for 2 hours with little to no actual meaning in any of it, at least until the Disney trilogy anyways. But the moral of the story here is that SJW feminists should never ever be catered to, because even after you give them what they want, they'll still go on to complain about it, that it's not something else. They're never satisfied with anything. Then it's very, very important that you should listen to this. Don't give them anything and just ignore them. Just ignore the SJWs because all they do is just scream noiselessly into the night. Just give them no quarter and just continue to ignore them, and they'll eventually go away because they're basically just... they're glory hogs who just can't get enough attention. So the best thing to do is just ignore them. As for the fact that there are no strong female leading characters, well, this writer should look at every very popular media out there and you'll find strong females everywhere. Obviously, she only said this because she wanted to get more views on her tweets. Because she must have heard of every one of these popular females. I mean, here are a couple of ones on the screen right now. There's Ahsoka Tano. The other one is a villain, you know, but I don't really care about her. I'm mostly for the Ahsoka Tano characters because she's awesome. But this is what happens when you basically hire a writer for the fact that she's a female. You get someone who has no idea what they're doing and has no idea what they're writing when they're writing for something like Star Wars. So we get a bunch of badly written novels that no one would want to possibly read through, and now we're looking at even more material being produced from the Star Wars story group. That'll probably be equally as bad as anything this woman has written because they have no idea about Star Wars. They say they're fans, but not one of their ideas is looking like anything we know as Star Wars. Because if they did, they wouldn't be saying stupid things like the fact there were no great female Jedi. That there were no really great female characters at all. No, if they had any idea what they were doing, they would just be, well, promoting their ideas and wanting people to go and read their material. If you like this video, subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed because YouTube is going around unsubscribing people. So make sure you're still subscribed. If you're watching my videos but you're not subscribed, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics, they're bad for you. Then go over to Library and BitChute and subscribe to my channels on those two websites. They're both named Comic Freak. Hit that bell for notifications, hit that like button, and leave some comments down below. And if you could you also please share this video? Share it on Twitter, share it on Reddit, and share it on Facebook. Share it anywhere you think it'll do the most good because YouTube is not going around promoting their own YouTube creators anymore. So please share this video. Now listen closely, it's that time of the day again, it's plug-in time. Keep checking back in all my future videos for more information on my own upcoming independent comic book scumdogs. I'm Chris Williams, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another video or review.